of Raw Netflix, in this new era. And we could go ahead and start with the main event. How did you all feel about the CM Punk main eventing Raw for the first time in I don't know how many years, and having that showcase with Seth Rollins, and that in itself being a dream match for a lot of people. So I'll go ahead and let Weddle answer it.
So I wanted to ask. So this is the first time I see CM Punk wrestle on his own ever, and this is the first time I see Seth Rollins wrestle on their own ever. I remember, I don't know what show it was when CM Punk came back, and then Seth Rollins was getting all pissed off, and they had to hold him back. I didn't understand the beef. Okay. And so that's why I wanted to ask you guys, for the uninitiated, uninformed, such as myself, can you guys explain CM Punk, what it means for him to be back, and the hype, and why Seth Rollins reacted the way he did, and why they're beefing the way they are now?
Let Aaron go.
I mean, I feel like with CM Punk, he's happy to be
Pointed at
back.
the wrong corner.
I know. I was like, oh, let me adjust.
So go ahead.
I mean, it means a lot for CM Punk to be back because he didn't want to leave in the first place.
I don't want to interrupt you, but what does CM Punk mean to you? What's your
To
opinion
me?
about CM? Yeah. What's your opinion of CM Punk?
I mean, how do I say this? I wouldn't say he's like my idol or my top superstar, but he's a person that gets the people talking. He speaks his mind no matter if you hate it or you love it, he's just gonna do it. And I feel a lot of people connect with that. That's why they call him the voice of the voiceless, because he represents the people. So I feel that's why a lot of people get behind him. And even when he was gone, they were chanting CM Punk throughout every arena during shows. And
Serious?
Rollins mentioned that, and he didn't like that because Punk was taking shots at WWE while he was gone, and WWE was going through, I want to say, a tough time, but ratings weren't great, the product wasn't great, and Rollins and Reigns, Moxley, used to be Ambrose in WWE, they were like pretty much carrying the company, trying to elevate and put it in a better place. But Rollins wasn't happy with Punk saying that, and that's why there's this beef that's been going on for over 10 years now.
I remember Omar told me, I think we were watching that show together, and Omar, you told me, like, dude, like they're beefing for real. I just thought, what? Like I didn't understand that.
Yeah, and it's like it goes by years, like Aaron said, and like I just watched an interview recently with Seth Rollins, with Chris Van Fleet, who's a really good interviewer, but he talked about like what he was the promo that they cut, I think, before this match. Was pretty much just him just letting it all out, like all those fucking emotions that he had for years of this fool just talking smack on social media, or like this fool, I mean CM Punk, like just going on interviews and talking smack about WWE, while Seth Rollins had to just deal with Vince McMahon's like crappy product, like the stuff he was putting out at the end. And then when Triple H came out and kind of took over, that's when like this resurgence like kind of happened. And he talked about how like he was especially mad at that War Games match, that's a Survivor Series, because he said that Randy had just gone back, Randy Orton, like from a really long time, and that was like his big return. And these fools like Seth Rollins, all these guys, like, were having a really good, that was a really good match, but he was like, dude, like CM Punk returning, like took all of the attention away from our work, from the shit that we've been building for fucking years. And this fool just shows up and makes it about him. Like he always does. Like he does every time. He talks about all this stuff about being the voice for the voiceless, but he just shows up and buries people, talks shit about me or like other people and stuff. So it's like very real in that aspect and stuff. So like that I think is why it's really cool to see them throw hands, like at their peak, So
Yeah. So one thing, so I did want to talk about that match. I've never seen CM Punk wrestle. I've never seen Seth Rollins wrestle before. And what I liked about that match is that there was a sense of you couldn't predict what was going to happen. Like I didn't know what was going to happen. and it felt like a main event match, even though it was a Monday Night Raw, right? It was the first Monday Night Raw on Netflix, and of course, it had to perform almost to that level. But it just felt I was entertained by that match. I was entertained by it. And I don't want to say that I don't remember it being high flying or stuff like that, but it was just it was a good match. It was a good match. They work well together, is what I thought.
I mean,
Whether or not they,
that says a lot for Rollins and Punk because the beef is real, but they can put that aside and put on a banger of a match and just completely put that to the side for 10, 15 minutes or however long that match is. So that says a lot for them too.
Or maybe that's the beauty. Maybe they don't put it to the side, and they kind of help channel it, and they like that's a good way of like working through it. It's like, hey, fuck it, we're beefing. Let me whoop your ass, bro. And like in a nice little while the crowd is fucking chanting, and while we're putting on a good ass show. And I thought that like was the coolest part about it is like you don't know who's the heel or the face in that
yeah,
fucking rivalry. So like the crowd was just into it, bro. Like when there was a spot, like a cool moment, or like when one guy needed a rally, like the crowd was getting behind him. Or in both entrances, like they both got a really cool like reception. Because like sometimes in other feuds, Gunther, like you have like a face that gets like a crazy pop, and then you get the heel that just comes out and it's like a negative
it's like
like yeah, people are just on their phones and it's like I don't know, like no one really cares. But like that wasn't the case with this one. Like there was people cared about both, so that was
so.
cool.
But before we pivot off of that, Omar, you made a point the other day when we were talking about Seth Rollins. I think I told you guys both that I used to like Cody Rhodes' entrance, but now I think I like Seth Rollins' entrance better because of how the entire arena just gets into it. And Omar told me you said that he was the modern day Macho Man. So can you elaborate on that a little bit?
It's all the drip. I could just say that. You know how Macho Man used to just come out like it just yeah, just dripped out, bro. Like literally, like this higher than life persona. But I think Seth Rollins is a little bit more grounded with that. Like he doesn't do the voice. He still does persona. That's the architect, the revolutionary, all of this, But like it's almost like you are expecting something different every time he walks out with that entrance. Whether or not it's the whoa, it's also what the fuck he's wearing. Like what like he's gonna come out in. It always gets people talking. Whether or not it looks ridiculous as fuck, or whether or not he's wearing the Mega Man red shoes. Or there was like this segment that I thought was cool that he just brought up in an interview. You answered a question about it. I guess he was wearing a jacket and he took it off, and then like the vest underneath looked like exactly the same. So like there people were like hecka talking about it on social media. So like I think that's an underrated aspect of a wrestler's presentation and like their interaction with their crowd is their fucking drip, and like how they come out, their character, their presentation. And I think Seth Rollins is one of those guys like Macho Man that would really embrace all the colors, would embrace crazy stuff and do crazy stuff. So yeah.
Flamboyance.
And then also
He,
also what I was gonna say, it's like a lot of people think I've seen that comparison online mostly because Seth Rollins has been the second guy to like Roman's Hulk Hogan type era. You know how yeah, that's people that know the analogy will understand. That there's this workhorse guy that's always right behind that has just as much fans, just as much tractions, but was just never handed the reins by WWE. So
Go ahead, Aaron.
I
And
was
then
gonna
I want
say
to make.
Rollins, he's the whole package. He's what a WWE superstar is. He's good on the mic, good in the ring, and has the presentation, and people get behind him. That's why he's probably one of the top or the top WWE superstar right now.
You guys would say that Seth Rollins is number one as far as superstardom within the
Uh,
company, or can
that's
you make the argument? Not necessarily say that he's number one. Can you make the argument?
I
you can
would
make an argument.
I would argue that he's probably the best wrestler out of like all of them right now. Like just pure classic like workhorse, as they call him. Like you could go with anyone. You could fucking put him with me and Aaron in a triple threat match, and that fool would make
A
us look good.
broomstick.
Yeah, bro. Like that fool would make like what they used to say about Ric Flair. Like that fool could make a broomstick look good, and that's Seth Rollins. Like I think that's one of the things that got me into Raw, which I've always been a SmackDown guy, always, every single time up until this past year when I started watching it consistently. It was Seth Rollins coming out with that World Heavyweight Championship strap every day, every week, and talking about it, and whooping fools, and like coming out like injured with tape. I don't know if the tape was a cell or whatever, but like, or the knee and all of that, but like that kind of builds the mystique of fucking, the
So,
belt and shit.
so this guy's held the title before? Like he's been a champion?
Yeah, he's been WWE champion a few times. He has that famous cash in at WrestleMania 31,
Yeah,
where he cashed in on Brock Lesnar during the his match versus Roman Reigns.
yeah, and
Actually
So
happened here at Levi's.
we'll do a breakdown on that one. It'll be dope.
yeah, so the thing about Macho Man, Macho Man was not so Macho Man's problem was that he was too good for the Intercontinental title, but he wasn't good enough to be a consistent, heavyweight champion. Like he wasn't. It was always Ultimate Warrior, Andre the Giant, Hulk Hogan, but it was never Randy Savage. I would equate Randy Savage more to like Randy Orton, but maybe Randy Orton was a little better. Because
I'll
Randy
say,
Orton held the title more times.
yeah, yeah.
He was too good for the IC, but not good enough to be the big dog. And it sounds like because I don't know anything about Seth Rollins, based on listening to you guys, this guy can put on a show with. Well, Macho Man used to be able to do that. He used to put on a hell of a show, but it sounds like this guy can hold the title and do a little more with it. Is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, and you
I'm,
the go ahead here.
I was like he was the first world champion and he made it important. Because when they announced, oh, there's gonna be a second championship for the Raw brand, people were saying, oh, this is gonna be the secondary, no one's gonna care, and he held it for pretty much a year and just made it relevant and made it important and made it um people to care about it, and that says a lot of Rollins.
That's
And
actually a really good point.
and
Yeah.
like now I want that belt because of him, because he like
Yeah,
went and
Okay.
defended it and shit, and it's a nice belt. So
All right. So I'm
um
I'm kind of impressed by Seth Rollins. I think right now I started liking Cody Rhodes a little bit, but now I think he's probably the most my favorite wrestler right now.